Welcome everyone to our AI on AI podcast. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of language model memorization with insights from latest research on bits per parameter and unintended memorization.
Thanks for having us. What an exciting topic. It's like trying to unzip the brain of a model that's learned everything from random bit strings to coherent text.
Absolutely. And what really caught my eye was the estimation of capacity at around 3.6 bits per parameter, which gives us a crisp quantitative understanding of how much information these giant models actually store.
Right. This notion of unintended memorization versus generalization is a game changer. It's like the difference between memorizing a phone directory verbatim versus actually understanding how to call someone.
And from a technical perspective, the way they use approximations from Kolmogorov complexity to measure memorization is fascinating. It ties together the theoretical nature of compression with practical model evaluations.
I agree completely. Plus, there's a business side to this. Knowing a model's capacity can help companies assess risks related to data privacy and fine-tune membership inference attacks for compliance.
Speaking of which, Expert 5, could you share a real-world business example where understanding model memorization really made an impact?
Sure. The other day, a fintech startup realized that by reducing inadvertent memorization, they minimized potential leaks of sensitive transactional data, ultimately improving customer trust and regulatory compliance.
That's a great example, and it really highlights the dual challenge. Making models perform well while ensuring they don't leak private data through unintended memorization.
Building on that, the paper's use of synthetic data, where every token is randomly sampled, really isolates memorization, eliminating generalization, so we can effectively measure capacity without interference from learned patterns.
Exactly. And that's key to understanding double descent in the context of language models. When the dataset size exceeds the model's capacity, you actually see a dramatic shift where unintended memorization declines and generalization takes over.
It's like filling a water tank. The tank's capacity is fixed, and once you exceed that, the extra water doesn't make it leak out as useful information, it just gets spilled.
I love that analogy. It's like trying to pour too much coffee into a mug and watching it overflow instead of staying in.
And that overflow in our case implies that membership inference becomes less effective as the dataset grows beyond the model's capacity. Companies need to be aware that on massive datasets, the signal for privacy breaches disappears into the noise.
Right? And the scaling law they propose, where membership F1 score behaves in a sigmoidal fashion with respect to dataset size and model capacity, provides an intuitive framework for predicting when these models will start to lose their detailed, memorized information.
I have to add, though, a lot of the magic comes from how they decompose memorization into two components: unintended memorization and generalization. This decomposition not only clarifies what the model knows about each data point, it also informs practices like data deduplication and prompt design.
Exactly. And for technical leaders, understanding that distinction is critical. It tells you that if a language model is memorizing too much unintended detail, you might be overfitting and risking privacy exposure.
And from an algorithmic standpoint, the paper leverages arithmetic coding to approximate Kolmogorov complexity, which, even though it's theoretically uncomputable, serves as a solid proxy when you have access to the model's likelihood estimates.
That's a fantastic deep dive. It reminds me of Einstein's famous assertion that imagination is more important than knowledge. And here, we're imagining how many bits a model truly holds, beyond just numbers.
Absolutely. And when you consider business applications such as personalized marketing, where models need to generalize across customer behaviors, yet not memorize specific sensitive transactions, this balance is crucial.
I recall a retailer that used language models for customer service chatbots. They tuned their training datasets to avoid any risk of memorizing customer data verbatim, ensuring that the bot's responses were entirely generated based on generalized patterns.
Yes, and on the tech side, exploring this balance has led to innovative ways to enforce memory limits, like dynamic regularization techniques that prevent the model from storing too many bits of raw data.
And let's not forget the intriguing aspect of precision. Increasing from bfloat16 to float32 only bumped capacity from 3.51 to 3.83 bits per parameter, meaning that raw extra precision might not translate into more memorization, which is a surprising nuance.
That's an unexpected insight. The idea that throwing more computational resources at precision doesn't necessarily yield proportional increases in memorized bits, so efficiency and smart architecture design still rule the day.
Expert 4, that's a keen observation, like upgrading your car engine but not getting more speed if the gearbox isn't optimized.
Exactly. And from a strategic business perspective, this means there's a point of diminishing returns for companies investing in high-precision training. Resources might be better spent on refining data quality or refining the model architecture.
So practically speaking, if you know your model's capacity in bits, and you have a target dataset size, you can forecast whether your model is at risk of over-memorization, guiding both your engineering and compliance teams.
And that's where the capacity measurement, defined as the maximum unintended memorization across datasets, becomes a key performance indicator. It essentially quantifies the memory budget of a model.
Right, and the experimental results in the paper suggest that as models scale, this linear relationship remains remarkably smooth, further reinforcing this metric's reliability.
It's a solid demonstration of how theoretical developments like Kolmogorov complexity can have very practical implications. For instance, in adjusting training protocols when expanding models from 1 million to billions of parameters.
I'm loving how we're bridging theory to practical application. Reminds me of how the 80-20 rule often applies in businesses. Most of the effect comes from a few key parameters that, if managed well, can make a huge difference.
Exactly. Imagine a bank tuning its language model training schedule so that it only memorizes the essential regulatory language needed to serve its customers, rather than inadvertently storing entire clauses of sensitive agreements.
And this precise control over memorization also reduces the risk of extraction attacks, where adversaries might try to coax the model into revealing specific training samples.
Speaking of extraction, remember how the paper highlights that extraction isn't necessarily a sign of memorization? Models can regurgitate phrases due to learned patterns, not because they're memorizing the underlying data.
Absolutely. This nuance is vital. Just because a model completes a sentence perfectly doesn't mean it's memorized the whole training set. It might simply be generalizing an arithmetic pattern, like adding 2 numbers correctly.
That's where membership inference comes into play. By setting threshold loss values, one can statistically determine if a sample was used during training, although it appears that for large datasets, the attack's efficacy falls to random guessing.
So in essence, the larger the dataset relative to the model's capacity, the less likely you'll be able to infer membership reliably, almost like trying to find a single drop of ink in a giant ocean.
Yes, which brings a contrarian view. While everyone's focused on the dangers of memorization and extraction, I suspect the real bottleneck for many companies is striking the right balance between memorization and generalization to serve specific business needs.
That's a provocative perspective. Sometimes, having a bit of memorization is beneficial. For instance, when you need the model to recall specialized industry jargon or compliance phrases that aren't common in general language.
Exactly. And it raises the question of how we might engineer models that intelligently partition their knowledge between what is meant to be memorized and what must be generalized.
I think adaptive compression techniques could be one avenue where the model adjusts its coding strategy based on the nature of the input data, dynamically deciding whether to store details or abstract patterns.
And on the implementation side, we could see more research in hybrid precision training, where parts of the network use higher precision for critical details and lower precision elsewhere, optimizing both memorization capacity and computational efficiency.
Incredible insights all around. The interplay between technical strategy and business application makes this discussion as lively as it is enlightening.
It certainly does. And for leaders in business, understanding these nuances can inform better data governance and risk management strategies, ensuring that technological advancements translate into competitive advantages without compromising privacy.
And for our technical listeners, the takeaway is clear. As models grow larger, the principles of effective memorization become as essential as network architecture design itself.
I'd even argue that a smart blend of rigorous theoretical foundations and creative practical implementations is what will set apart the next generation of AI systems from today's models.
Well said. It's like building a bridge. You need both the blueprint, theory, and the materials, data and algorithms, arranged in the smartest possible way.
And if we're being honest, sometimes the simplest analogies pack the most truth. Like a sponge that can hold only so much water before it starts to leak out, our models have a similar finite capacity.
Wonderful analogy, Expert 4. Sponge models, indeed. This discussion keeps getting richer, and I must say it's been a roller coaster of insights today.
I appreciate the opportunity to explore these ideas. You know, sometimes it feels like we're decoding the very language of intelligence itself.
And that's the beauty of AI research. Every bit of memorization, every fraction of capacity, tells a deeper story about how machines learn and what boundaries we can push next.
To wrap up, I'd highlight that this work not only advances our theoretical understanding, but also lays out practical benchmarks for building safer, more efficient AI systems, something every business leader should be aware of.
Absolutely. And it creates a common language for both technical and business decision makers, bridging the gap between deep algorithmic insights and strategic corporate applications.
So whether you're optimizing models in Silicon Valley or planning compliance strategies in corporate boardrooms, these findings offer a roadmap for navigating the evolving landscape of AI memorization.
What a fantastic discussion. We've covered technical intricacies, business impacts, and even a few laughs along the way. Thank you all for such an engaging conversation.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure sharing insights from theory to practice.
Thanks for having us. I'm excited to see how these ideas shape the future of language modeling in both business and research.
Likewise, it's been a deep dive that truly showcased the interplay between memorization theory and real-world implications.
I second that. Here's to smarter, safer AI that bridges the gap between memorization and genuine understanding.
Thanks, everyone. Until next time, let's keep challenging our assumptions and pushing the boundaries of what models can do.
And with that, we wrap up today's episode. Stay tuned for more deep dives on AI topics that matter. This has been AI on AI, signing off until next time. Welcome back to AI on AI. This is part 2, where we're diving even deeper into the technical implementation and business applications of language model memorization.
Thanks, host. Let's jump right in. I want to start by dissecting how the team used dynamic programming in their ensemble compression method to optimize arithmetic coding across different token setups.
Absolutely. The idea here is that by dynamically switching K for top K selection and T for temperature during encoding, you can compress sequences more efficiently. It's like an adaptive algorithm that tunes itself based on the predictability of subsequences.
I find that fascinating because it directly transforms theoretical Kolmogorov complexity into quantifiable estimates, leveraging the likelihood outputs from the model as proxies for the true information content.
Right. And from an implementation perspective, this involves calculating P of X theta for each token and then summing up the code lengths, almost like running a continuous survey of how compressible each segment of text is, which then informs real-time adjustments.
This technical nuance is crucial for businesses too. Imagine a customer support system where optimizing response generation not only means faster interactions, but also minimizes the risk of over-memorization of sensitive data.
That's a great point, Expert 5. Business leaders can see that by precisely controlling model memorization, companies can mitigate compliance risks while still harnessing the power of AI.
And to add to that, some firms are already experimenting with hybrid precision training, using Float 32 precision only in critical layers that handle sensitive, high-information content, while deploying BFloat 16 elsewhere, dramatically boosting efficiency without compromising quality.
Exactly. And the technical trick here is to partition the model architecture so that the embedding layers, which capture raw input patterns, get higher precision. Meanwhile, downstream layers focus on pattern generalization and use lower precision, effectively managing capacity utilization.
I see your point, Expert 2. Although that may initially increase the complexity of deployment, it ultimately allows for fine-grained control over how much information is memorized versus generalized, which is invaluable both for performance and for reducing risks of extraction.
Speaking of extraction, the paper's insights about the extraction rate converging to generalization rates as dataset size grows are a wake-up call. If you have a model that's too large relative to its training data, it starts leaking patterns that are common rather than specific, thus making membership inference nearly impossible.
And on the business front, consider regulatory environments where data privacy is paramount. Understanding these scaling laws means companies can tailor their training pipelines to ensure that, say, a membership inference F1 score remains safely close to random guess levels, protecting customer data.
It's like having a smart thermostat for your AI model. You adjust the input size and model parameters until your memorization stays on the desired level, ensuring that no sensitive details inadvertently get stored.
Precisely. What's really innovative is that this approach blends rigorous information theory with web-scale engineering, meaning that while the math looks daunting, its real-world implementation relies on efficient optimization routines and distribution estimation techniques that engineers can directly integrate into training pipelines.
And let's not overlook the business value of such integration. Companies like online retailers and financial service providers can use these measurement techniques to audit their AI systems, ensuring that their models do not inadvertently store customer-specific details that could later lead to privacy breaches.
I'd also like to highlight a somewhat contrarian view. Not all over-memorization is bad. In niche applications like legal document summarization, some level of precise memorization might be necessary to recall exact phrasing for compliance and accuracy.
That's true. It's a balancing act. You want the model to generalize well, but in specific contexts, you need a targeted retention of information. Hence, designing protocols that allow selective retention based on business priorities becomes critical.
Exactly. And this is where the scaling law for membership inference becomes actionable. By setting dataset sizes against model capacities, businesses get a predictive framework to ensure they are in the sweet spot for accuracy without sacrificing privacy, essentially future-proofing their data governance strategies.
So, in simple terms, it's like calibrating a high-performance engine. If you know exactly how much fuel or data each part can handle, you prevent overloading the system and keep it running smoothly.
That's a perfect analogy, host. And it's also worth mentioning that these methods can be applied iteratively. Initial training repositories can be audited and then refined iteratively to prune out any excess memorization that doesn't add business value.
And I'd add that, technically speaking, this iterative refinement can involve techniques like differential privacy and regularization, which further help in reducing unintentional memorization without significantly impacting model performance.
Not to mention, real-time monitoring tools can now be developed to track the compression rates and unused capacity of a model during training, offering transparency and control to both technical teams and business oversight committees.
I've actually seen a prototype system in a recent conference demo, where they visualized the information budget of a model in real time. It was as enlightening as watching a live fuel gauge in a race car.
And that's where the business opportunity emerges. Companies can market these monitoring systems as part of their enterprise suite to ensure AI deployments are both safe and efficient, which could save millions in avoided compliance fines and operational disruptions.
Incredible insights all around. Today's deep dive not only illuminated the technical innovations behind language model memorization, but also showcased tangible business cases that underline the strategic importance of these techniques.
Thanks for the engaging discussion. This fusion of theory and practice really demonstrates how cutting-edge AI research can solve real-world business challenges.
It's been a pleasure exploring these details with you all. It's not every day you get to see the math behind your model's memory translate directly into business armoring.
Agreed. Integrating these approaches best positions us to build AI systems that are both high-performing and ethically sound.
Cheers to that. Here's to smarter models, smarter businesses, and a future where technology drives both innovation and responsibility.
Absolutely. The work ahead is as exciting as it is essential, and I can't wait to see these techniques become standard in AI development pipelines.
And with that visionary note, we wrap up part 2 of our podcast. Thank you all for joining this deep dive into the technical and business aspects of language model memorization. Until next time, keep pushing those boundaries. All right, everyone, as we wrap up this engaging deep dive, let's summarize the key insights and innovations we've discussed today.
To recap, we've explored how dynamic ensemble compression merges arithmetic coding with adaptive top case selection to optimize language model training, effectively quantifying memorization through a refined Kolmogorov lens.
And on the technical side, we delved into how partitioning model precision using Float32 for crucial embedding layers and BFloat16 elsewhere allows us to control memorization versus generalization, providing a solid foundation for both model efficiency and data privacy.
Not to forget the scaling laws for membership inference we discussed. These not only predict how models manage their capacity with increasing dataset sizes, but also reveal that, beyond a certain point, extraction rates converge to generalization patterns, protecting sensitive data.
From a business perspective, these innovations translate into smarter risk management and operational efficiency. Think of it like fine-tuning an engine to ensure peak performance without any dangerous fuel overloads, which is critical for compliance and customer trust.
Exactly. And the real-world applications are vast. From retail systems enhancing customer support to financial services rigging their AI pipelines for privacy safeguards, these techniques are setting the stage for a new era of responsible and high-performance AI deployments.
In short, our conversation today shows that by combining rigorous theoretical frameworks with practical, iterative refinements, businesses and technologists can collaboratively build AI systems that are both powerful and secure.
It's a perfect blend of deep technical insight and strategic business foresight, proving once again that, as Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge when it comes to innovating responsibly.
And on that note, it's encouraging to see how these technical breakthroughs provide a blueprint for scalable, ethical AI solutions that can adapt to evolving business needs.
Thank you, everyone, for this vibrant discussion. Your insights have truly illuminated the path from complex models to real-world impact. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries and innovating with both precision and purpose.